Good morning, sisters. Good morning, everybody. Hello, everybody. Good morning. We are going to start today's session with the invocation that the sisters from Latin America and the Caribbean are going to do. Before all, we're going to thank our powerful Creator for this beginning of the week. So we're going to let our sisters from Latin America and the Caribbean to do the invocation. Who's going to do it? Sisters, who is in charge of the invocation for today's invocation? Latin America and the Caribbean was the commitment for today's session. Sisters, I'm going to do the invocations then. I'm giving words, our Creator Father, to the strength of the Mambe spirit. The holy call that has given us to the Amazon peoples and the indigenous people that we can contact, and that he may be the strength of all of us, the voices that we express and manifest. In the same way, this is Ambil. It represents the fertility, represents the woman. It represents the reproduction and abundance. And that's the word cold, sweet, is the word that harmonizes, is the word that gives equilibrium or equity. Together, men, women, they complement each other. They help each other. They care for each other. The word says, I come to take care of you. You take care of me, I take care of you. You represent symbolic representation in my culture. The when women and men, Mambi is made out of coca, and the ambil is made out of tobacco, representation of men and women. The paint, we can't lack of this material. It symbolizes the strength, the love, as if it's the view that we see, like when we see the rainbow, that view that oriented. It's like that that is that symbolizes love, that impacts us in our love. That's the inspiration of Father Creator. And all of us, we're going to close our eyes for a second. Let's nurture ourselves. Let's flow. Let's feed from that word of life, from that spirit of life that constructs, that spirit that harmonizes, that spirit that that helps us, that calls us to continue, that he'll be always present in our dreams, in our walking, in the wind, in the water, in the food, in every moment. Father Creator manifests to us, and maybe He guiding our paths in today's session, in this activity that we're going to do. Sisters, thank you very much. Okay, sisters, I'm going to project my activity that we were pending in the previous session. Right. My territory, right? Yes, I was. Yes, yes, ma'am. I was going to talk about it. I was going to comment. I only saw 3 or 4 works. I am worried about the rest of the sisters that are not participating. I was attentively and checking if there were any questions. I didn't find any questions, any doubts. But go ahead, sister. Let me, I'm going to project. I haven't projected yet. Let me see if I can do it. There it is. Can you see it? Can you see them? The slides? Yes. Okay. See? Yes. Well, I uploaded one on Moodle, but I wanted to share this one as well. This this is a particular presentation of my community. My community is called Laurel Hill in the municipality of Temoya in Mexico, and the country is Mexico. I'm going to state it that way. The the earth is the place we inhabit, and it's composed of trees, animals, person. So the regions are Africa, America. Okay, slower. So I I am placed in the American continent between North America and South America in a country called Mexico. As you can see in the on the map there, Mexico, its official name, it's United States of Mexico. It's a sovereign country. It is in the part of the North America. Its capital is City of Mexico. According to the actual current worldview, it represents to it's in it, I have mentioned 32 and the capital. According to the recent data, within these 32 states, there is Mexico City, my city. We can find it here in this part of the map, the Mexico map, a little bit to the south, more or less in the center. The state of Mexico is a polycultural state. It has 5 original peoples, Tlahuica, Matzaltzinca, Otomi, Masawa, Nahuatl, and all of them, we have our own traditions, our own language, and our own way of organizing. This state is for 125 municipalities, where Tamaya is the 88th community, according to the official uh, data collected. In this part, we have the municipality that is Tomataya. We are nearby the Valley of Mexico, by the city. There, then it comes something really particular thing that about my country and municipality. We find here the ceremonial center Otomi. This is the cultural heritage of people of Nyat. And then I have my municipality. You can see here the house is here, five minutes away from the ceremonial center. It's called the Hill of Laurel. My community is called Laurel First Section. I'm daughter of Lorenzo Romero and son of Silverio Menuz. Rest in peace. I am sister of 6 brothers of Vita Leonidas, Domingo, Marcial, Felicitas, Sergio. My husband is Gilberto Alcántara Menuz. My kids, my traditional music of the community is the wind music, and we sing it in maternal language, mother language. So these are some photos from my community. The ceremonial center, my husband and I dancing here. We were here stewards. I like to do tortillas. I I, I can we can eat a lot of capelinos. We have that traditional food. And also to finish my presentation, I'm going to show you this video. So just listen to the music, not the song, not the music. No, you can't hear the music? No? Something's wrong. We can't hear any music. At the moment we're sharing, we need to share audio as well at the beginning. I don't know what happened. Should I share? Given Send me through YouTube and then I'm going to share it. Send me the link and I'm going to share it. So you speak one of the 5 language. Which language? The Otomi. But yes, the Otomi is the Otomi term comes from the Nahuatl, which is an original language, but we call ourselves Niatos. Liliana, I will send you the link of the video. Can you stop sharing? Yep. You just have to close. You gotta hit the button, stop sharing. I think I'm I'm done. Yep. Ready. I think okay, there we go. There we go. I was thinking to maybe we can't hear the music. Okay. Okay, we can't hear it. We're going to stop there. Okay, let's continue. Sisters, as we were pending with an activity, I'm thinking to gather with the topic that we're going to work a little bit about. another activity that we have today. We can put it together between territory and the activities of feeling and thinking. We have group activities, so that way we can enrich more this activity, right? So I'm going to share with you what's today's topic in today's session. Communication, please. If you project the slides in PDF. Okay. Training in intercultural methodologies and research. That's our topic, right? That's our module. Shall we continue? Today's topic is the being and doing of the researchers of indigenous peoples. Here, among all of us, we're going to work how from our experiences we have practiced different methodologies, different intercultural methodologies in our research work in our territory or in our country. Go ahead. Contents. We're going to start with a video of an indigenous Amazon leader that is leading a process of the indigenous university with Amazonic vision. If we can see, there are many university experiences in Colombia, but they have Andean vision. This setting has led us to show, to do advocacy, to visualize a little bit the way of us see the world and how to contribute from our culture spaces.
We're going to do a theoretical reflection about the importance of the intercultural and research and the ethics, among others. And then we're going to do a collective work where we're going to see, how do you call it? We call it a mandate. But among all of us, we're going to create a manifest of a commitment, both personally but collectively as well, about our work as women researchers. Next. The objective of learning today is to strengthen the commitment and the action, a political, personal, and collective action of the researchers of the original territories of Abya Yala, Africa and Asia, to take a commitment with happiness, responsibility, and commitment in the recuperation and construction of knowledge of the thought, feeling, and cosmo feeling of the peoples. So we're going to get started with this activity. It's the video that we're going to project about the experience of building a university, intercultural university, and Amazonic thought in Colombia. Please go ahead. Let's start projecting the video, please. To tell you, my fellow colleagues, that today is a historic day for us. I cheer for the fight and the movement. We've been here for 20 years. The university started in the family in Pan America, and today we are projecting 50 years of Creek, our university, in a principle of legality. Our communities, our authorities, from spirituality, the stronger strength, the mountains and lagoons, stars and wind, to which we are in debt to. Our dreams today are becoming true. There's interpretation, there's subtitling. I'll let you read.
Hay un problema del video, ¿pueden pausar? No están teniendo la interpretación, hay que asegurar para las compañeras, por favor. Sí, por favor, reinicie el video para las compañeras de África y Asia. Necesitamos garantizar que escuchen el video. Adelante, por favor, Javier. No se escucha la interpretación.
The most diverse area in the region, and we want an autonomous indigenous system that can support the education process in Colombia that has been built for about approximately 18 years. Within that framework, the indigenous peoples, we've been thinking a education for life that continues to strengthen our knowledge systems, our territories, and all the beings that live there, and that we can continue living there in harmony with all these beings. In this sense, the policies of Sene has different formations, pre-birth, the different cycles of life that each child has, depending of the people's their origin of where they're from and their plan of life, how each organizations through their educational process and the mandates as authorities implement the education and the evolution in harmony with their way of life and the indigenous law. In this sense, we are proposing a university education. We don't call it superior education. There are very interesting reflections of why not call it superior or and call it university, because we are saying that those that have a very valuable formation are the elders in the communities that have a connection to the territories, a experience from the territories. They are the pedagogues of the region. They are the true experts. And in that sense, we are proposing the creating indigenous universities in the country. In regards of the Amazons of Colombia, we've been advancing in creating it's a name that it's an initial name, but it might change regarding the collective work, the encounters that are coming, that have been happening through this work. But it is now the Intercultural Amazons University. The objective is to continue to strengthen our wealth of knowledge, that we can continue developing and putting into work the system and have the practice and the experience, and the new generations that can live through this. We will be able to have what we call the care of life, value the knowledge, that the elders have, the people, the different peoples, the diversity and the patrimony of the Amazon, but also see the Amazons as the most diverse place of plants and animals in the world, and a wealth of knowledge, of spiritual and practical knowledge. And we can share this way of knowledge from the other scenarios that are not the school, the four walls and a chair, but we have charcas, we have mountains and rivers and sacred places, the malocas, different spaces, and we have many teachers that are wise people. So what we want is that this knowledge, these knowledge can be put into action and in an intercultural dialogue, that the what we have, our knowledge is also considered valuable and have equity and equal, that they're equal against other types of knowledge, and that the peoples can walk this path to create this knowledge and care for our territories, our systems of life, our systems of communication. In this sense, with the Ministry of Education, we had a agreement in the framework of the National Development Plan. We're going into a third phase. There's been some encounters in the territories with the authorities in the 6 departments that are part of the Amazons, and there's some very important advances. There should be in a university that walks with the people, that has its own intercultural processes of shaping and different scenarios for education, and that it can put in the education in a collective dialogue. Okay, very good. As you could see, there's 2 videos. You could see the experience that is already happening in Colombia of the indigenous people of Cauca, where it's a indigenous area. It's a Nasa people. They have a university already working. They're working with it already from the building their own concepts, breaking paradigms.
I'm in Spanish. Are you understanding? Are you hearing? Yes, we can hear you. Perfect. Thank you very much, Liliana. We are breaking paradigms. We have done encounters or meeting or exchange of experience exchange, knowledge exchange. Despite we live in a country, we have territorial differences, we have cultural differences, we have differences of expressions and different kind of differences. Yes, a linguistic difference, language difference, which within us it has led us to different reflections, to different thinkings and thoughts, precisely to think about what is a real intercultural research. What is an intercultural dialogue? We have we have we have given ourselves that reflections, that analysis among us, and that's why we showed the 2 videos. The third one is in construction. It is a setting or a political aim that we have from the Amazon, but we know that we have a long way to walk in order to finish that path, to finish the university. But we feel that university is already walking in our territories. It's already working among us. So what we have to do is keep organizing. Let's keep doing the modules, working on the modules. We have already had discussions or conversation. If we could if we could show it in a curriculum, it will lose the sense of what we want to show. This leads us to see how us, despite we're indigenous, sometimes we understand that interculturality is to understand the Western world. But from our own reflection, we have said that interculturality is also within us as indigenous peoples, right? That's why before doing this activity, I want to share with you my experience in the research world. I call it endogen research because I am being indigenous, that I speak the Witoto language among my community as peoples, Witoto peoples. We have different or variety of language. We have Witoto Minika, we have Witoto Bue, we have Witoto Nepote. That's me. I speak Witoto Nempote, Witoto Muka, Witoto, and Witoto Binga. And according to the way we speak, we are also placed in different territories. So despite we are an indigenous people known with the name of Witoto, we have variety of languages. How can I say? We have differences, different concepts, different way of seeing, different way of seeing our lives. So all this reflection, we also have this view that for us, this approach for us that what are we looking for really? What do we want? So when we do our research, it's because we're looking for something new for the outside world, right? So we said no. This is what we're doing is not new. But it has an origin. This has already been with us. So that led us to think that for us, the field think, the cosmo field, as we call it, sometimes we are looking to homologize indigenous thought. So we talk from the Amazon, the system, knowledge system, beyond saying uses and habits, because we say all the ways of our way of life or style of life is based on systems, government system, food system, territorial system, yes, educational system, medicine, traditional medicine system, or and also the system of self-justice. So we are homogenizing that indigenous feeling to all their indigenous people, that they are already also talking about knowledge system. For example, we talk about to give a sweet word to our language. So the women do that work. We refer to the equilibrium of the harmony, to the to love, to talk kindly, but not like beautiful things, like, but kindly, like talk really calm down, right? So the people are talking with this same language, but we give another sense, the sense of sweetening the word is harmonized to give a balance, give a complementary. And also we have seen, we like to say that we don't talk about fabrics, or so instead we say what the word, a word of life, yes, because in the same cultural narratives, the fabric of process for us is part of our daily walking that comes at the end almost. So if we start a process at once weaving, or our elders have told us that the cultural process could have obstacles. It could have difficulties. It could have barriers, right? So in that sense, before us, before we start a research process, we always have to start by we need to start doing a spiritual cleansing for ourselves. We do spirit cleansing, a body cleansing, mind cleansing, in order to smell, in order to feel, in order to see, in order to listen, in order to understand. Yes, that becomes part of our, we could say, the rituality that we do in order to receive that knowledge, to understand that knowledge, that path that we're going to walk, beyond collecting data, beyond asking, beyond building other knowledges. First, what we need to do is the cleansing of the body. In that cleansing of the body, we commit ourselves. We do commitments with ourselves, that the information that we're going to collect, it's not personal. That is something that I highlight in my research process. We are not looking to empower people or persons. The work and the knowledge is collective. We give tools. That's how they say, the elders, our grandparents or grandmothers. Our knowledge is for a service, not for a harm. It's for a collective service, because we were based on the principles of complementarity, of duality, and interdependence. So there's what we do, the commitments. We do the commitments that these works is going to be for the community. So it's going to be done in the self spaces so that we can build this knowledge. And in this way, the research process, it turns out a political advocacy. Beyond a result, beyond a document, beyond a video, is how do I understand? How do I understand myself? How do I understand myself? How do I understand my culture, my family? How do I understand my territory? How do I have that comprehension of myself? And with this, we can go and talk with the other, and then I can go and talk with the other. So in that order, my sisters, this activity is, so we have our groups already. We have 3 groups, right? The idea is to do a manifest that could include self-commitment and collective commitments, that you may say, as I'm sharing with you, it's a commitment with the people, with the spirit, with Father Creator, with the beliefs that each of one of us have in a region. Is a commitment with the work that we're going to do. This must go beyond our research, as I'm saying. It's a different way of life. There's a different way of feeling, different way of seeing, different way of smelling, different way of of watching or observing. Yes, but how this this work that I'm going to do is going to provide me tools and materials for territorial advocacy, for human rights, human defense, the ecosystems that are in our territory, how we're going to advocate for that. So that's the commitment that we need to do. And so we're going to do a symbolic signature of that manifest. We're going to do a symbolic signature. We do our symbolic signature beyond document. This commitment and the signature, we do it in a mambiadero. So that's something that is in the Maloca that symbolizes the cosmos in the body of the feminine woman, symbolizes its uterus, its wombs, that the being is formed, that a person is formed, where is fed physically and spiritually. So that symbology with that in that space of we call Mambiadero, which is a really symbolic site for indigenous people. It is really important. We do it with a juice that we call it jugo de maniquero, which is sweet cassava with mambe and ambil. The one that I showed you a minute ago, that is part of our plants and cultural elements, the sacred elements, plants that we have. And thus we give our signatures for commitments in our activities, the responsibility that we're going to have. So the invitation is to that. Once we do that activity, we're going to gather in the rooms, so you can
place it whether in Palette, in Moodle, or in PowerPoint, so you can project it. So the work that you're going to do, you're going to place it. You can draw it in a piece of paper. You can put it in a PowerPoint or whatever tool you want. So then we can then share it with others and talk about it. Converse with the wider group. Is this clear, this activity that we're going to do? Is there clarity in the instructions so we can go into the groups? I understand it's 2 activities. 1, the manifesto, the group manifesto that you're going to create. This is a document in which you should include personal and collective commitments about how to get the knowledge back, the defense of the territories, and the political action, right? And these 3 aspects. 1, what commitments do I have personally and collectively to get the knowledge back? 2, what commitments do I have personally and collectively for political action and the defense of the territories? That would be the document is like a work route in this manifesto that we're creating, and then everybody signs like if it were a international treaty, and then each room we're going to read it and share it, and then you can do it in Word or Excel or whatever way that you want. This is what we're going to do? Yes. I gave an example of how we do it. Okay, so let us know. So communications team can create the groups. How much time do we have? We're going to have 3 groups. It's 8:50 our time, my time. I think 9:05. So let's give it 15 minutes. 9:05. Here in Colombia. So let's see. So 15 minutes. Okay, so let's get the groups created, and we're going to have the same groups we had previously. So we're going to have interpreting, so there's no problem for collaborating in the groups, within the groups. The groups are created. This is group 1. Go ahead. How are we doing here? Hello, hello. Hello?
Es que ese es el. Hola, Livia. Este es el grupo, este es el que queda en la sala principal. Hola, hola, Livia, ¿me escuchas?
This is the team, this is the group that we're working with. This is the main room, but this is the group. There is no other group. This is the group.
Ok, entonces ahí para que puedan empezar a organizarse.
So please start getting organized so you can share about creating this manifesto.
Ajá. Y aquí pongo aquí
Here I'm
pongo,
going to place
aquí pongo las instrucciones en inglés,
the instructions in English in the chat,
por favor, para que lo chequen.
please, so that you can look at it.
Ok, listo. Entonces,
And we only have
de
5
preferencia,
more minutes. So if
pueden hacer
preferably, if you can
el documento en Word
create this document in a Word,
y ya lo comparten al ratito.
and you can then share it with a group, please. If you have any questions, please, here's Lorena and Samai, and you can send me a message. Okay? Martha, please participate. You have the interpretation, the simultaneous. If you could preferably open your cameras. Priscilla, Grace, Mary, it feels like there's nobody here. If you don't have your cameras, I'll start myself so we can start working. I'm going to move over to a next room, but thank you, Halima. Hello? Hello. I'm trying to open my screen, but I'm in a place where there's not a good signal. I'm trying, but I don't know what's happening. I can't even see to hopefully not get my voice. We have a very little time, so let's get going. We only have 5 more minutes. Okay, go ahead.
Hi everyone, can we start the assignment please? Can anyone hear me?
I hear you, Alima.
Okay. Do you all get the question? Do you understand the question?
So the instructions are in the chat. I'll read them out loud. In 4 groups, in 3 groups, but participants are going to build a collective manifesto in which they will write the commitments that reflect the recovery of knowledge, political action, and defense of the territories. This manifest can include personal and collective commitments. The activity concludes with a symbolic signing of this manifesto by all the participants. Yes, so with ideas about what the commitments and actions will be around that the group can agree on, about how to recover knowledge, how to take political action, and the defense of the territories. Yes?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, the ideas that we have this document that who can create this document in a Word that you can share? Could somebody help me with this?
Yes, I can do that, but
Sí,
Ok, entonces hay que hacer como un tratado, como un convenio, como un
let's make
manifiesto.
like a manifesto, an agreement, a treaty.
Entonces, la primera pregunta
So
decía
the first
que,
question is
sobre todo, de compromiso individual y
commitment, the
colectivo.
individual
Eh,
and collective commitments.
Ajá, entonces dice aquí, la pregunta es,
What is the commitment for the recovery of knowledge? Of course, we're talking about indigenous and traditional knowledge, our commitment for political action, and the defense of the territories. So that would be, that's what would have that structure to say what our commitment is. I think the first thing we must do is let's think, let's give some ideas. If anyone's created a document online, we can upload it here and then we can discuss this collectively.
okay, I'm going to share my points, at least so that the rest can flow. When we talk about can you hear me?
Grace, Priscilla, are you here? Martha? Yes, we're here. So are you clear with the activity? Yes, the only problem is that it's raining quite hard and there's wind, so I don't have a good connection, but I'm here.
Can you
Okay,
hear
let's
me?
see. Yes.
Okay, so I'll give example and then the rest can add their points. When it comes to recovery of knowledge, I think our commitment can be documenting the work.
Could you please allow me? Is someone creating a Word on Google or in Drive so we can register? We need to build this document. So maybe you can help me, Priscilla, to create a link for Word so we can collectively write and you can share it here in the chat. Or who can help me? So Halima, you're creating this? Okay, thank you. So you can share us the link so we can see what is being shared and we can collectively rate. Teacher, before my idea goes away, can I say this? Because I'm on my phone, my commitment, I'm going to say it here, to converse with elders and wise people in the community and get to know the history and write it in documents to share afterwards with youth. Also, my commitment would be organizing workshops and talks to share this knowledge with the children and young women, young girls and young women, so this knowledge can continue getting passed on.
Assignments.
I would
Mary,
also like
please come
to
up. Sorry, the first statement. Please,
I'm sorry, what was this? Could you repeat?
the first, yeah, please tell me the first commitment you said, Mary. I heard of organizing workshop. I didn't have the first one. Ati?
So
Now
it's
take
in the
notes,
chat.
please.
I will Halima, it's in the chat, so I'll write it back.
Ah,
So it's
okay.
conversing with the elders and wise people in the community, know about history. And Martha's there. I'm looking at Grace. I'm seeing that those Priscilla. They can start writing your ideas in the chat. So maybe
Now
that's
take notes
easier,
kusikiza
and
na.
we can all take it from there.
Ati niko group gani? What do you mean?
Here I wrote, Mari, what Mari says. Mari, if you want to write something else, and then Halima can take it from there as well, to make it easier and integrate the
Si
document.
niko Zoom mimi. Group. Ni copy. I'm going to share the link so that they
Voy a
add the
compartir.
point.
Voy a,
Usiniambie ni network.
okay, we're done. This group work. We have 20 minutes so that each of you can tell us or read your manifesto. The commitment, the manifesto that you just created. Teacher Rufina, maybe we were lacking a little time. They were just getting integrated, but maybe if we can give another 5 minutes so they can finish creating this document, is that okay? Do you agree? Yes, okay, perfect. Okay, so that they can get organized. Let's silence our microphones. Maybe internally you can organize to start to put the different shares into this. Okay, so 5 minutes. Okay. Sabato, we have 5 more minutes to continue working on the documents, whether you created a shared document in a drive or sharing your thoughts here, naming the group that it belongs to and putting your thoughts for who's integrating to take from the chat into the document.
The idea is that once we are done with this activity, each group should present the work done in your breakout room, taking into account the person that is going to present the work. But the truth is that I hope each one of you have participated in the construction of this manifesto. Shall we start? Group number 1. Group number 1. Have you finished with your manifesto? Isn't group 1 the one that was in the main room? Group number 2 is the Negumi group. And group number 3 is the group that Sabanto is in. Teacher, we can't hear you. I don't know if you're talking. Thank you very much. Group number 1. We'll go with group number 2.
Excuse.
Group number 2. So this is our document, our manifesto. Okay, yeah, Amunduku said this, if you can help me with the translation. Me comprometo a proteger nuestros conocimientos tradicionales.
Está la
Perdón,
interpretación
sí.
está en el
Sí,
canal
me
de
quedé, ok,
español.
ok. Entonces voy a traducir, sí, me quedé en el español. Gracias. Dice, so it says, I commit myself to do a quality work with the knowledge of our grandmother in the region, because in this investigation we have a way of showing our. Okay. I'm going to look for help from social leaders. I'm going to help to strengthen the indigenous community for the protection of our territories. The work must be, we need to have a research work and commit myself to show the research from our field think, and to do a quality work that my community identifies the work. And that would be, here's my signature. Thank you. Good job, Rocio. Is group number one still working? The group that was in the main room, they're still working. Halima, the Halima group.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm trying to share the work, but I can just read. So in our discussion, I'll read what everyone presented. Mary in traditional knowledge says we should converse with elders and organizing workshop and talk to share our knowledge. My contribution on traditional knowledge is actively documenting the tradition and indigenous knowledge system, the languages, our stories, and our practices that has been forgotten. And then my personal commitment, I will listen deeply to elders and knowledge keepers in my community. When it comes to political action, mobilizing for policy change that uphold human rights and territory sovereignty. Personal commitment, I will use my voice and stand in solidarity with those whose rights are threatened, and I will also learn and educate myself on political issues. When it comes to defense of territories, I commit to defend our land from all kind of exploitation and collectively resist actions that threatens the cultural integrity of our territories. Personal commitment, I will respect the boundaries and tradition of ancestral lands. Principle of our, I'll say that later. Natosim said, I commit to learning and sharing my community's traditional knowledge. I commit to standing against injustice that threatens our land and culture. I commit to honoring the voices of women and elders in decision making. Menguni, I actively learn and incorporate indigenous languages, culture, and traditional knowledge into our daily lives, value harmony with nature, and strive to protect the environment. Listen to the voices of our community and strengthen our solidarity. Collective commitment, unite to defend indigenous rights and territories, continue to raise our voices in political and public spaces, share traditional knowledge, and promote it through educational activities, stand together, confront external threat and injustice. Grace, territory defense, we build autonomy and political power, strengthen our self-governance system rooted in accountability and collective decision-making, engage with wider political processes from a position of dignity, not dependency, form alliances with other communities and movements who share our struggles. And lastly, our principle of our collective is guided with solidarity, where we stand united, respect, honoring the diversity of our cultures and beliefs, responsibilities, we accept our shared duty, resilient, we are committed to build strength and adaptability in the face of adversity and learning from the challenges, and then we raise together. Thank you.
Perfect. Sisters, thank you very much to each one of you for your contribution in the construction of this manifesto. In a feedback way, I could gather really quick. I hope this is what you thought, and this is what you think, and this is what you're feeling. This is what your commitment in what I have collected. So I tried to summarize, do a synthesis in talking about in the commitment for the retrieval of knowledge. All of you manifested in the work of listen again to a wise woman, and also to listen to our elders. That was a commitment that you did to start and listen again, and the stories, that narratives, those origin principles of each one of your peoples. Also, in that order, talking about political advocacy, you manifested to work for the unity of the peoples. This is really, really important and interesting to do this kind of work, understanding that we are united in midst of adversity of facts, right? And there's a point that we all converge there. When we talk about construct the unity, you also talk about solidarity. You talk about reciprocity. So that leads us to something beautiful within us, like indigenous people and us as indigenous women, that taking care of the mother nature, So we're in that point, the taking care of mother earth. It's highlighted in the three groups. With what what ends? The taking care is political advocacy, the solidarity for a common good of our mother host, right?
Mother Earth, all of you are saying that it's the work surrounding caring for Mother Earth. It is because we are thinking and we love our children, our future generation, so that our future generation can live, can see what we are able to see in this right now, so that our children can also enjoy this wealth, both cultural as well as everything that's around us in our territory, our rivers, our mountains, our forests, our jungles, this diversity that is also the diversity in our different languages, that they can also enjoy this. And not only for the indigenous world, but for humanity. Another political action that I see that you highlighted was how through these research projects that you're going to start by creating this commitment today, it is doing work that is responsible, that you are getting support from the community leaders or leaders that play a special role in each of your territories or communities, right? And with the objective to promote and preserve the knowledge. Also, you use the experience of Colombia. I'll share with you this experience we have in these schools with the Indigenous University as well. The manifesto that you are creating regarding the defense of the rights of and the territories of the communities, indigenous communities, it wants to document. I think this is very important to that you wish to portray these knowledges that can be used as tools or political strategies, and as well as tools for the defense of our peoples from a way to try to minimize these factors, these external factors that reach our territories, right? when we give importance to caring for Mother Earth, caring for what we have, and how we want to show it to others. This is both a political, but also a defense of the rights tool for the indigenous peoples. This is what I can, in general, make a synthesis. And you also all said it is to work with for the recovery of the practices, the cultural knowledge that give life to our everyday actions, and as well, it gives life to everything that's around us, nature, territory, and the non-living beings. I hope, my sisters, that I was able to capture these thoughts each one of you put out. If there's anyone who might like to compliment what I try to do in this synthesis to recovery in quite quickly, all the valuable feedback, all the that you gave in this for this manifesto, contributions. Could anybody want to compliment or say something new? Please, we'd love to. If I forgot something, I didn't take it into account, that you might want to compliment about this small summary that I was able to create from each one of you. Yes, one of the things, if you allow me, Teacher Rufina, for me, I'm not part of the participant community, and I'm playing a role as an organizer, but I was thinking, for example, and I'm understanding the colleagues from Africa. I'd like you to help me understand, and Asia as well. In Latin America or in Abya Yala, what happens is that during the colonization process, when all Spain comes, the King of Spain with all the dynamics of colonization reaches this territory, and there's a total break. They establish their power immediately, and in all the aspects of life they impose their power. But one of the things that was able to be done is that they're trying to eliminate the identity of the people that were living in these territories in Latin America. And through conflict, through violence, there's a whole process of emptying out. There's violence, there's very strong violence. The result of the creation of Latin America is a result of violence, systematic, structural, that goes into the deep of our heart, that they can say that the color of your skin, that how you speak Spanish, because we have our our maternal language or mother language, and our second language doesn't have, it has our accent, the way we speak. I understand perfectly Mexican English, but they have the same ways to speak that I do, and I hear English from other countries. They're all different from the accents from Asia or Africa, and it's harder for me to understand because we all have our accent. But in Latin America, what happened almost in our DNA is that your knowledge, your wisdom, it's not really a wisdom. It's not knowledge. It's superstition. It's thoughts, ways of thoughts, and superstitions mostly. So let's remember that we weren't even considered people. We were called savages, and the category continues changing. Now we're Indians, now we're indigenous, but the category of person comes later. First, we were savages. The savages are not rational, not people that have rational thoughts. So what happened here is that communication that is through language starts getting lost in the values that are imposed. It seems negative, not related to modern life, to Western. So it's the language of the savages. And of course, here, this was all happening. The indigenous languages are not even considered languages. They're called dialects, which is something different and not even like a real language. It's a language that can't be written. It's a language that don't have abstract thought. So they start putting these ideas into us and said this language, your language is not going to allow you to work in a great corporation. Why would you want to speak it? Why do you want it? So I think in my case, and maybe I'd like to know how it's happened in Asia and Africa, in our whole continent, what has happened, and I think in our educational system, at least in Mexico, happened. They tried to erase the native languages, the original languages. So there's a whole systematization of the children that speak their maternal language. They'll kick them out. They'll be beat. They'll be punished if they speak their original language, their native language. So there's this whole policy to try to eliminate indigenous people from the school system by eliminating their identity. And so many people became lost their language. They became just Spanish speaker, and we've lost over 100 languages that were spoken. Now we only have 65, 67, and there's many that are in danger of extinction. There's there's a lot of places where there's just very few speakers of those languages. So one of the ways that the colonization was put in is by eliminating our languages. So imagine if we lose a whole language, just a word. I was talking to some kids, and I was telling them a category or word, and they were saying, "What is that?" And they couldn't understand, and I couldn't believe this is how we start erasing people, identities, language. So I think it's very important to recover and also have it be a political statement to document our language, to speak our languages. There's so much around our language. There's words that can't be translated, that are only part of our culture. And so, yeah, imagine there's Elena Gil, an author, and she was saying that in the Mije people, there's 3 us or 2. It's I forget. I think it's 2 or 3, but us that we're here present, this is 1. But I can say that within that other us, there's another us. But for another people's perspective, this is impossible. But for the Mije people, this is. But how can there be another us? So these are the words that I can't explain it quite right, but when we use it, but it's something that to see how it has to do with how we see the world. And so this is an action that I think we should implement. I didn't see this, but yeah, I didn't see it in the manifesto, speaking about how the language is such an important aspect of preserving and recovering these ways. Yes, thank you, Liliana. Yes, this is very important perspective. And of course, there's a whole logic there that through this research project that we can do as leaders, as researchers. Yes, in what sense? When I, many years back, more than 30, we started doing a work, as Liliana was saying, to strengthen our knowledge, our wisdom, our from a point of view, from a personal point of view, from our own point of view. So we were questioning each word of the Spanish language that was reaching our territory. For example, what was consolidation. This is a language that in our language do not exist. So we had to research how something that is similar that might be understood, right? So in that sense, for example, research, the word does not exist in my language. So to be able to speak and to be able to start to be able to start to write, we didn't know about methodologies. We started many years back before the year 80 in processes that had to do with recovering the land. And the Amazon, the Colombian Amazons, which is where I'm from, it was a very forgotten area by the state. So we had no presence of the government or other entities in our territories in those years. So what did we started doing? When researchers come from the Western world, there were many Europeans, many North Americans to do research in our territories. And we thought it was very, very funny because it was with a pre-made questions
made
and
already.
recorder.
So that bothered us a little bit because us from dawn we're working until the night. Some of us fishing, other hunting in the jungle. The indigenous woman in the chagra. The chagra is a space, a portion of land where we cultivate different varieties of food, like seeds. Yeah, like we plant different seeds for food, food wise. But it has a cultural connotation. It has a logic from the spiritual view, the traditional way of living. So that led us to find out concepts. So the word research is based for us. It is based in four topics. That word we see it in four topics. Maybe so we said Omuja Uwe, word, origin word. Yes, a word of word. Hepuja Uwe, word of reproduction, like to populate. Yetara Uwe, word of advice. So that way we could understand the word, the concept of research from our experience, or from my experience. It was really hard. It was really hard to say this is research. We had to go back to that main pillars of our culture. So word of origin, word of work, word of abundance, and word of advice. So those four words in our language. So we had to do that four things in order to do our research. So that four words gave us the integrality of this word research. So that was the elders told us that we need to raise up or wake up that word. And it was not asking, but observing. It was more of observing. As a colleague was saying in this manifesto, to sit and listen. So that word construction, the essence of life. So that would be my feedback, sisters. Thank you very much, Liliana. made me to remember many sad things, all the topics of invasion. I am grandson of a Holocaust that lived in the Colombian Amazon. So I am the grandson of a family that outlived this. In the revolution, in the Industrial Revolution, it was really famous. I don't know how to say. It was interesting. The topic of the rubbers for the construction of the tires of the car and the other things that the industry needed. This situation reached the Colombian Amazon in a way that was really sad. It was painful. That is a milestone in our lives. So that was a way of conquering and vanishing away of languages, peoples, cultures. So this in the leadership world, we reach to this kind of spaces, or to collect this basket or these words for so that way the new generation would not suffer this that our elders lived, this that lived our grandfathers. So in the Chura Amazon, where in that place, according to the books that we read, it was saying that we were 10,000 Witutus there, just like Witotos people. And currently we don't go over the 2,000 inhabitants. So there you can see how many clans, not people, clans. We have different 5 dialects. So we are made out of clans. We lost a lot of clans. My father was the last clan of Witoto clan. My father was the last clan of the Nepote language, from the Enokaye clan. I am of Roja from my father's part. So this persecution that happened, we migrated to a territory which was not my father's territory, but it was an Antok territory. So when Liliana attacks, I was touched. The way of invasion and imposing and colonizing, it ended the languages. My parents told me that in the Chorrera, they reach some priest, some Capuchinos priest. They went there, so they couldn't speak the language. So my parents told me this priest, they gave him a name, they gave him clothings, and they gave him new names, so people could see the language. So if it was a woman, they put wigs or something like that on them. So these were some cultures in our territory that were. So this we call deharmonizing. In this healing process, we call it harmony. We prefer not to cry, even though we have it present. We don't feel victims of this, but although we know what happened, we have the living history. What we want, how we want to feel is abundant, strong. In the world of the white recently I understood the word resilience. Maybe I wasn't resilient to that process, but that's the spirit that leads us to become a leader, to fight for that rights, to fight for our territories. So in order to prevent this history, this sad Holocaust that lived in my territory, so we are trying to prevent this. So from that, based on that pain, we want to heal. We want to grow as people, to grow in abundance and generate conditions of life for the humans and non-human, like human beings and non-human beings. So that's our aim as leaders. Yeah, truly, Liliana, I apologize. Sisters, Liliana touched my heart very much because it hurts. And that's a really sad remembrance that we carry on. It's hard, but it gives you strength to follow in that fight. I know that each one of us, we and my sisters, we have this pain, we have this thought, and also it gives us courage. It gives us strength to do work with a lot of commitment, with a lot of responsibility, and also with a lot of tenderness to not in order to not make do harms. So beyond this interpretation, sometimes the world gives us let's us to be the starrings or protagonists of our fate, of our own future, and of our kids, of our children. Teacher, listening to you, and also thinking in the other regions that surely they have experiences. We know the process that they have lived. Africa, let's say Africa have lived a process. Is a continent that is really hit, and but although they have a lot of richness, a lot of rich, and even though they have a lot of rich, they say that they have poverty. So the interesting thing here, if you can see, I am very sure, I don't know, you tell me, for example, the sisters from Africa, maybe the indigenous category or Indian, maybe it's not for you, even for Asia, maybe it's not for you, like the indigenous, that's something that is given to the Latin America, and the Spanish people came here and they constructed that category about the indigenous or the Indian because they thought they reached to India. I don't know if you know that story, but that's the story. They came to Latin America and they thought they reached India, and that's why they called us Indians, and that's why we're called indigenous. But Indians, in terms of it means so they say the Indians are savages people, Indians indigenous, so the category are changing over time. In the case of Africa, is more like tribes, like clans, right? You have clans. They have different categories. You have this collective essence, this communitarian essence. You have your own language, not the hegemonic language. So they do this harm to us. They give this wound. They give us this wound. Maybe if you can have the possibility to check, to watch some videos of Lorena Catlan. If not, I'm going to pass it to you. One thing that you say, and by the way, my teacher Rufina is commenting, the capitalist system and the colonizing system, they want to maintain us with wounded body and wounded feelings, because this colonial wound, it immobilizes us, it freezes us because it's so violent. So we have so much wounds, so many wounds that we need to heal us. We need to take care of our wounds. And yes, yeah, we see tears because I have seen colleagues that have lived this process. It has been a really, really strong process. They go to your identity. We have seen with our sister from Canada. We have sisters from Canada. They are still looking for their family that they disappeared from the orphanage. Sisters from Australia with this same policy of integrating the indigenous people. So all the churches, they weren't looking for their
It wasn't only the Catholic religion, but it was all of them. All these churches that come from the Western world, they would take the children and put them in orphanages to remove their identity, to take their dignity. And of course, identity, your territory is what makes you who you are, and to be able to converse from this identity that ties you to your community. So this has been a systematic way of doing this. And we're here, we say we're mestizo, we're mixed. But by saying this, I can recognize the history of violence that we've lived through. And so what Teacher Rufina brings here is very important, to be able to heal, to be able to laugh, to smile. This is resistance. I see this a lot in countries here in America. Even if there's lots of poverty, people are warm, people are happy. It's a way to resist. You can't you're so hurt, you're so in such pain, and everything is so ugly that here, for example, in Mexico, you see people that speak their language and others they're criticizing them if it's not English or French or Japanese. If it's the local native language, people are like, oh, what's that? And then they're being plundered from the language. From It is a violent uh plundering of the identity, the way you speak. So yes, I think we have a lot of things to reflect on how we're going to do this research, because it must make us reflect on how we can advocate, how we can go into changing the laws, the paradigms, our own discourse. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Liliana. Go ahead, Liliana. Lorena. Thank you, teacher, and thank you to each of you for what you've shared. I just want to uh, to share regarding the teacher's testimony. It moves us to go into three key aspects. The first one, to visualize all the strength, the knowledge, vision, identities, all these systems of living regarding our case study that exist in our territories, and where we are going to go converse about thought, feeling, cosmovision. And the second is how the system has plundered, has destructed, and continues, the colonization continues by looting, plundering, dispossession, and our documents have to be a case of denouncing, not victimization. I think that's not that we're keeping our tears in, but from this pain, come back, resurface from these chronic oppressions that are internalized of generation after generation. These oppressions that are internalized have shaped us, but our elders, our grandmothers and grandfathers, showed us to come back and show us what is happening. I remember one of the topics that was shared, to make complaints, the defense of the economies within the judicial indigenous systems, and to be able to denounce, to make complaints of the violation of regarding this tianguis, this market, how they're being violated in their ways. So we must make it visible. And the third is that the research can study and make evident all the resilience and resistance collective actions, the proposals for change that the peoples, that the women have created against colonization and oppression, because we haven't just sat down and crossed our arms. And of course, the fourth, a key topic is not be staying as a victim. I make visible the history of my peoples. I denounce the violence and the dispossession, and I give options. The incidents plan, that's the fourth. What am I going to do as a collective, as teacher mentioned? This proposal is not something I'm inventing. This is a joint construction. This is another very important element. Our research is, our investigations are co-created, our collective efforts. And as my grandfather would say, now you're going to be my secretary. You're going to hear with your heart. You're going to see with the eyes of the soul, with the ears of the soul, what we're saying and what we're not saying. The water is going to speak as well. If we're going to talk about the impact of colonization on Mother Earth and water, we can compare 30, 50 years ago, what the elders were saying then, what the water was like then, and what is it like now. And of course, the water is speaking. Maybe the rivers have disappeared. There's much trash and toxins, etc. So our role as researcher is fundamental. It is being able to go into getting in through a very important way, consulting. We're not going to get to a place and impose. This is my study. This is what I'm going to do. We have to build it together. The topic, the objectives, and consult in the ways we consult. The research is not ours. It is of the community, is of the women. It is of that territory. And I, as a researcher, add myself to this, not as Western point of view says, you are the researcher, you are the leader. We don't do this. We dialogue with our thought feeling with the community, because we are part of this community, this weaving. I am not the expert. We are the ones that are going to listen with our spirit, with our heart, with our soul, from our cosmovisions, from our philosophies of life, to understand, to write, to reflect this strength, this vision of life. So that was it. And of course I have more, but let's allow the teacher to continue. But this woke up many feelings within us. Thank you very much, teacher. Thank you, Lorena. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Anybody else that might want to share, that can tell us your experience that has shaped you in a significant way? Please go ahead, Rocio. Yes, I want to share. I believe what Liliana was sharing is very true. And at some point I was telling her that the topic of this research, for me, this is a very challenge, because I fortunately know how to speak my language, but I'm very much educated in the Western ways. When I had a talk with teacher Lorena regarding my research project, I started understanding and I started analyzing many things that I know are going to be helpful to be able to work hand in hand with my community. I believe that this topic regarding violence or discrimination against our people has not ended. We've all lived through it. At some point, I wanted to stop because I was an Indigenous representative from my municipality, and the government went against me. because of not thinking or because of thinking differently and trying to help the people. I even have in my hands a copy of the primordial book of my municipality. We did an exercise to create this. I haven't been able to describe completely because it's written in a handwriting and that I think that I can't really understand, but it mentions some things that our ancestors lived through. There's a part that I was reading. It has how they gave the land, how the Spanish people come and they decide who's going to get the water source and the different territories. Not only that, but our ancestors were also thought of like animals. They were using them. It mentions here that they were being used as carriers. They would take them and they would bring the wood and then they would sell them if they thought that this person that was resisting that and a Spaniard was interested in them, they could buy them. So they mention all kinds of things here. This was a reality that our communities lived through, that through this, they tried to erase our essence through slavery, through diverse violations and of into our communities. I personally consider that this research for me is going to help me find what what my community really is from the root. I'm going to identify myself even more. I'm going to go out and get to know them. And I think it's very important to listen to everybody so that they get involved, and also that this research project, they feel identity, that at least my community, that is not only a project where I can, cover a requisite. Yes, I want to do a community work that where my community feels reflected from their feeling, from the ways of thinking, our strength. I believe that I can, that you, as part of the International Women's Forum, you saw something in us, and now we have to show these knowledges. Maybe they're sleeping a bit, they're dormant, but I know we can wake them up. Thank you, teacher. Thank you, Rocio. Yes, please go ahead, Mari. Mari? Mari? Maybe she's not here. Her hand is up, but we can't hear her. Teacher, should we go into the next activity because of time? Okay, let's communication. Could you please? Thank you, my sisters, to each one of you. I think we are in a moment that touched our heart and our spirit. And I believe that this is something that our work has to have. Let's go to the next one. We've already covered this. Next. Okay. A little bit, my sisters, I want to tell you this activity that we just had. The idea, what we wanted to have here is to see why we're making this commitment with our research project. Why are we creating this manifesto? To really be able to like someone said previously, more than a research project, it is having our voice document these situations and have it be a tool for our youth or the next generations to be able to take their responsibility so that they can know it, they can keep it in mind, so that they can strengthen from these words, from this pain, and move on forward. So my sisters, in the work that we have always done in research, regarding research, I want to highlight regarding research, it's very important that we have a community participation, right? The focus, the intercultural focus has to have the community participation. Why? Because this is where you involve the indigenous communities in planning, in execution of projects, in the follow-up and evaluation. And because we recognize their traditional knowledge as a valuable resource, not as a knowledge with no value, but we give it the true value of a scientific, not a linear way of thought and symmetrical, but our knowledge is alive. Another focus
Another
that I
approach
always
that I
have,
always
that I
have
always
in my research
take into
work,
account,
I call it intercultural policies. It's all the actions that we do to promote precisely the territorial defense, the cultural living, creating self-agenda, our own agendas. We can't work for other people's agenda. We need to create our own agenda that we could do political advocacy in the public laws, and in that way we could say that in our intercultural policies we found out that in the past we used to do works for national park. That's a government institution, and they work for the preserving and conserving the territory and the environment here in Colombia. So we used to work together. We work in our research in order to preserve the environment and cultural plans. So we found out what we were doing is we were filling up the database, their monitoring system, but according to their global agenda for the reaching of a goal, agendas that are then raised in our territories. But this led us to think and say, we're not going to work for other people's agenda, but we are going to work for our own agenda. And also the approach that our intercultural research must have is the indigenous knowledge. That indigenous knowledge is like the center of the research project. Why? Because recognizes and value the traditional knowledge of the indigenous people, like the fundaments or base of the construction of a way of life and development, and the development of the community, self-sustaining development. So I say the methodology that we must use once we have these approaches, we used to do, I don't know how we call it methodologically. So what we do is we sit together in the Maloca, and we take down, we write down starting point of our research, the daily activities in the indigenous people, in order to deepen our understanding of the culture of the indigenous. So that's what we did. So what we did says, some were hunters, other fishers, other were healers, others were singers. So we observed what each person was doing with according to their roles. So that was a methodology. I don't know how to call it. I never found a name for that methodology. So that was the first thing we used to do in order to identify. We didn't write and that specific space, because if you took something to write down, to take notes, it felt like the community or the people, they went back. The flow is the conversation doesn't flow right when you try to take notes. So what we used, as I told you at the beginning, we do a ceremony, we do a cleansing to do this research process, so that way it flows something, an energy. So without writing, taking notes, you're gathering the information, because they were telling you this word that I'm telling you. It looks like it seems like this, or it's related to this. So that's how the research is enriching. Other methodology we used, one of the main methodologies, we take a starting point, the actions that people do, right? Like daily activities, but also we do this methodology, I call it life calendar, natural cycle of life, or they call it socio-ecological calendar. This calendar, it's not like the ordinary calendar, the ones that we use. We have the calendar we call cycles and times. So in the Amazon we have 4 cycles. For us, winter is a time of a lot of rain. Then we have small summer, and then the strong summer, like the big summer. And also we have autumn, right? The 4 of them. And then we get the times, like planting season. Our chagras is between December and February. So since in December it's summer, the river starts to diminish, like, so the fishes, they go to up river. So the river dries with the summer, so the fish, they go up the river, so we don't have food like fish. But yes, we got a lot of so we got a lot of birds. So our food is based on birds. So we keep planting the food, right? We keep planting our seeds, working on our plantation. And then there are other processes about animals. So this is a migratory process. So that calendar, it gives us the set of interaction that we do according to each season. Then after that, it comes the season of we call it the frog season. So it starts raining, drizzling. So it sprouts what we have planted, and the frogs that are on the trees. So they come down, and these frogs are edible. So we call it the frogs season. So the waters that we have in the well or in the lagoons, we can't drink from them. Neither the animals that live in that places over there, we can eat them. We can only eat the fishes that we catch from the rivers, the big rivers. The other is like the ponds or wells, that is a breeding space reproduction place. So we got edible frogs and non-edible frogs. So that's how we work, like continue working. So we have some knowledge there that it takes us, leads us, a socio-ecological calendar or natural calendar of life. So this teaches the how we as human we behave, how we do, and we find out what's happening in the river, in the jungle, or in the forest, in the territory. So we start watching the cycles. For us, the new year is in June. It's a day of very, very cold season. So other people call it the Brazil cold time, but that is the beginning of the year for us, where the animals, the forest animals, they fight to overcome men. But so not all the animals are friendly. The animals, they have their power, and they're the owners of that forest. So those are the actions that we do take in according to each season and time. So they are season of dancing. So they are season of illness prevention, season of cleansing the territory. So season of reproduction, like human reproduction and non-human reproduction. So these are the network of knowledge and wisdom of our practices of our people. So this is what we do in our, this is what we use as a methodology. The other methodology, I call it the endogen research. It's where we get involved as leader. We get involved in the research. So we get involved with our own knowledge system. So they can give us tell us their cultural richness, and also, as I was saying a minute ago, we found out that sometimes the researcher that comes to our territory, they try to understand our language. So they keep, even though they learn, they keep doing interpretation. They don't get the essence. Let's see an example. When an elder says, speaking indigenous language, what does it means? If I translate it literally, I would say the advice word, the orientation word, burns from the fire or from the candle. But what the wise man was trying to say, because they talk with metaphor, that's something we need to take into account when we do interpretation of the metaphors, to understand and to do a right interpretation. So the grandpa that was saying, the first advice it's given is from home. It's the warmth of the home. It's the reciprocal love, right? So that happens to us when we say candle and fire. When we're talking about people education or person education, candle, it's the strong word that destroys, the word that do not let us grow. Fagon, the fire, is the one that transforms, that feeds, because our food is done, prepared. So it's transformed from negative to positive. So if you can see the ways of how we talk, in our life, we have a language. How can I say? We have common language. Is that the one that we use with the general people? Like, but also we have this language. Let's say I call it a scientific language, that have some grandpas or some youth that are studying Maybe they're starting to be shaman or leader. So they learn this kind of languages. That they are scientific language that the territory can manage. So they interconnect. I only know like around 20 words of this scientific language in our territory. So with this work, I can say that with this methodology, which we have used in our research work, it can give our work a positive impact. So it can lead it it can lead us to safeguard our territory. So we have 25 millions of acres that we have preserved based on this knowledge, in this way of we have been taking care of our territory. So that's what I wanted to share with you. But it is really important also to take into account, my sisters, promote the conversation, the intercultural dialogue. I call it intercultural among us. Even though we are indigenous people, I keep saying that there's an interculturality within us, among us. I don't know how to call it, but I call it so. So it's to understand among us, because we have geographical differences, language differences. Spanish, I don't speak it. I don't speak perfect Spanish. I try to speak Spanish. It's not my language. So there's a barrier. How would it be with the barrier with the sisters that we have here, in this diploma course, and in these sessions, that they speak different language? So there's a barrier. I know that the common point is English, but you have your language. You can see that barrier maybe. So it happened to me. Like I don't speak perfect Spanish. So trying to understand what you're saying, or you trying to understand what I'm saying, that's the part of our interculturality that we need to build and bring down the thoughts of like investigation. Research for us is to learn. For us is the origin of principle of origins, so it can sustain our culture way of living. I don't know if there's any question so far. Hello, teacher. Good morning. I was asking to talk. I was trying to answer, so I couldn't. I didn't have the chance to talk. So I'm here. Based on what you were regarding on what you were saying, it gives me the idea. Go to my territory. I'm respectful of my elders, because the elders have many traditional knowledge that they have passed on to us, and we have a commitment with the youth. And I believe I missed one class. I didn't expect this. Didn't want to miss one class even, but things happen sometimes, like things that are happening to us, not only to me, but the Panama people. Here in Panama, we have a critical situation in our country, not only in our territories. I'm talking generally in the country, national level. So I got caught in that situation. So I'm a person that when something like this happens, I want to be there. I want to be in the fight. I want to raise my voice. I want to accompany my leaders. I want to be with the youth, with a woman. So because because we are the one that we have our kids, and we need to educate our kids, and we need to guarantee our kids this culture, these spaces, these resources, and all of these knowledges. So we have a very huge commitment with the youth. So I chose my topic. I don't know. It's about land and territory. Yeah, because of the situation I was facing from a long time ago. But I said I'm going to choose this topic. So to find out why is this thing happening in my territory, and also what's happening to my traditional authorities. With all the situation that is happening right now,
Very interesting and researching, writing, getting to the leaders, to the people, not all the leaders with us. There's there who were valid. I'm walking out highlighted the authorities, the service order, taking the kids out and put them in jail. What has it been for us to be able to protect each other, speak our
Mari,
to
Mari,
transmit
perdón,
their
si
message.
puedes ir más lento por lo de la interpretación. Interpretación, podrían checar el canal, no se escucha bien en inglés.
My mother tongue as what are our people not helping us a way how to communicate with our neighbors, with our brothers, with our sisters, with our neighbors, with our leader, to be able to protect us, each other, to protect each other. Because now we have our communities, particularly in our indigenous communities that are militarized by from the government, but because they're using the force of aero, naval, and the frontier police, and how important it is to be able to speak our language. We're realizing how important it is to strengthen our language, to be able to communicate, to protect each other against these situations that in Panama are very, very dangerous now. It's very grave. The fight of the indigenous people, of all the organizations, for four specific points. One for the 362 law, which tempts against social safety of the future generations. It also goes against the small business people, the artisan, the taxi people, the people that sell things on the street. And no matter what they make, they have to pay a very high tax, even if they're not getting this amount monthly. When they don't do this, they have a fine of $1,000 to $5,000. And there's so many other things that in this law, the reopening to mining, that the Supreme Court in the year 2020 in 2024, they considered this illegal, the law for mining, and it was for the people, but then they and mines are in indigenous territory. The government wants to, this week, next week, in the next few weeks, reopen the territory to mining. So this is a very terrible problem in our territories as well. And then the third point is the signing of memorandum between Panama and United States that it was a agreement that was done with their backs against the people in secret. So these are very big and very specific points. And there's still one more topic that is very sensitive. This new law that the government and the deputies have approved. We haven't been able to see it, but it also goes against the indigenous peoples and the working class, but mainly the indigenous people. So all these things we are trying to see. I never thought that I'd live through this in my life, but that the police, they touch us, they make us get naked, they take our money, they go into our house, they they look into our more intimate places where we have our sleeping room with no judicial forms. So this is where we are analyzing deeply. So we're seeing how important it is to reevaluate and to strengthen, to give value to our ancestor knowledge with our elders, because this makes us this knowledge invites us to and tell us how we can protect ourselves, care for ourselves, care for our youth, and replicate this knowledge for our youth so that in the future, for the problem like this of this kind, they can communicate, they can protect themselves, they can create a defense strategy. So I'm analyzing all of this. It seems more clear to me, and it seems like the idea that I had in the beginning when there were just rumors, but I had never thought that it was going to really happen. But now we're living it in our own skin, not only indigenous people, peasants, and if it were just a few, you could say, well, it's just these people are creating trouble. They're troublemakers. They don't agree with anything. But no, this is happening around the country. Now, as a country, we are in danger because the interest of United States is so deep toward Panama that they have so many military people. It's become very dangerous. In the canal area, there are also the the port entrance, that we also have the Chinese, which means that the people are not even up to date of what's happening in this conflict. And right now we're getting to see these new things. So this is an experience not good. It's very terrible. It's very sad because now in the protests, the police are authorized to use firearms. So this is the information is not going out of Panama because Panama, the media, the press, the television, and the government, because they are they are with the private sector. And what little information is able to come out is because we've been able to put it out in our social networks. There, Spanish man from independent media was expelled, was deported by the government. So this summary that I'm telling, this is what we're going through. I hope I can be in class if the police doesn't take me, but I'm here. So what we're going through, they had never seen before, not even when we had Noriega's military government wasn't like this, but now we're going through this. There's people that are hurt. There's testimonies. There's people that have been shot by the police. So it gives us an idea how much our knowledge is worth, how much our language is worth, how much are the strategies that somehow the Western world has influenced and has tried to disappear. But instead of disappearing, we feel that we have to rescue it. This is our main weapon, to be able to protect each other as people, as indigenous people. And this is the case of Panama. I just wanted to briefly summarize, thinking about the knowledge of our elders and the knowledge of our grandfathers and grandmothers, and what we are practicing every day, spirituality, the connection that we have with nature and cosmos, how important it is for us and to value this. Thank you. This is what I wanted to share.
Thank you, Sister Mary, for sharing with us and the situation that you're facing, and also the challenges that you're facing. All the indigenous people around the world, in the diversity and the multiculturality, we had a lot of challenge. In the midst of these challenges, we have opportunities to be advocates of the indigenous people, to show, like to be visible and to work with our knowledge, showing that the original people of the indigenous people, we have the knowledge, not invented by human, but given by the origin of life. The next activity, sisters, we got left a few time, but I feel like what we have done so far, the activities are, what are the challenges, and it was to show it was to show this from our territory map, right? Or to show it in an activity. So we have this kind of we have these challenges internally because we're changing our way of feed ourselves. And that's a challenge for us. The feeding of ourselves, it leads us to leave or to fade away from our roots. It's an internal weakness in our culture. So the practice of governance. So we are imitating the world from the outside world. So it's leading us to weaken our roots. The other challenge that we have identified, that we have centralizing any centralizing thoughts that are trying to come from outside to in, and if they're trying the power of one person, that tends to capitalism. So we don't need that. So us sisters at this moment, we're trying to bring down the paradigms that exist. Deconstruct. We're trying to deconstruct. We're in a process. I'm going to share with you quickly. For example, the research paradigm says the ontology, for example. It's the explanation about nature, reality, and the answer to the question, the being and the existence. And that's an ontology. So we're trying to get concepts. We're writing, we're asking, and we're building up, right? So we say that ontology for us is the reality of a way of life. The things that we see and don't see, not only with this conventional sense we can understand, but also with the feeling, with the learning, right? To comprehend, like to live. It's a process, is a spiritual process, natural process, intuitive, to be in a root, like ancestral root. All of this, I don't need to show it in a scientific way. This has been transmitted from creation, from origin. I don't have to. And not all the spiritual and cultural aspect that we live in our as indigenous people, we can verify, like scientifically verify. Like, remember, the outside world is trying to verify, and we say from our narrative that's if it's there, that's a knowledge, right? It's not necessary to verify. The most clear example is the climate change and biodiversity. That's why we have our jungle. We preserve our jungle, our forest. It is really hard to verify, but through our medicinal plants, through that scientific word of dialogue with the territory, with ourselves, and with all the beings and non-beings, makes this forest to maintain with humanity. So also we talk about epistemology. We're trying to construct or build this concept, right? Epistemology. We say that our peoples, that our indigenous people don't have wisdom. They don't have knowledge. They have is wisdom, is a knowledge with a non-verifying scientific method that makes that diversity is a reality to take into account when we face the positive monist. So it is good to say that the knowledge is constructed collectively, and we do it to share, sharing the crop, and also, and that way we share the knowledge. And also we're talking about methodology. Is the road to understand, do reflection, and do an interpretation of the reality. So what we're doing is we say, so it's proposed the methodology, plural methodology, not to have only one method, but have a plural method. Each territory and people have their way of walking the word to construct. There's a plurality of thoughts. There's a plurality of feelings. There's a plurality of listening. There's a plurality of understanding. And that's why all of this is fed back in a holistic way and in an integral way. Now, talking about axiology, we're deconstructing. We say that axiology is reigned by the principles and cultural fundamentals. That the sense, spirituality, relationship, reciprocity, complementarity, all of this with the objective of taking care of the life and territory, and that the word of life given by the creator will not die, for future generation to nurture from this word, so that the future generation could grow and strengthen themselves from this cultural settings. So the culture is face, thoughts, and words of our ancestors. So this is the process where we're at right now. We're deconstructing a little bit. That's a challenge we have. I wanted to share that. It's a challenge we have in the frame of political advocacy, building up your own concept, constructing words. And also, I want to invite you to know that there's not only one methodology. We have several methodologies. The tools could be geographically different. Also, your thoughts of each one of you is different. So that would be it for today's session. Thank you very much for to each one of you. I don't know if you have any question, or if you want to add something what I've just shared about the challenges we have. We're deconstructing precisely the paradigms. So we're deconstructing from our own own thoughts. Is there anything you would like to add? So we got 6 minutes. If you'd like to share something, you would like to add something to what I've shared. Yeah. Teacher, how are you? I just wanted to tell. I'm clear. Positive what you said. Taking into account that the indigenous people will think differently. We have cultures and different use of things. Although we're all indigenous people, taking care of our culture in our daily life, of each people. But we are focused what our ancestors says and what the law of origin says. So that's why for me it is really important what you have shared with us. Taking into account that we are in the construction of this research project that will contribute to our community. So it's fundamental for me, all the sharings that you have given to us right now, so we can take it into account and place it in our research work. Thank you. Liliana, some parish words. The parish words or announcement. I am thankful for your work. It has led us to a profound or deep connection, so we can continue transforming our environment. Parish announcement. We have meeting with the Abiyala meeting with Latin America starting 7 o'clock with teacher Lorena. We're going to revise the special case of the region. And so if you can accompany us so we can accomplish our objectives. So that's it. I'd like to announce you that we're near to the deadline of the protocol. I hope you are advancing. I hope you're working. Please check your documents. Remember what we shared, what Samay shared last week. So this idea of committing yourself to the deadline. There will be no time extension because we are dealing with the administrative issues. So they've said 30 is deadline and that's it. So please, that's it, teacher. Thank you very much. Thank you, Liliana. Thank you, sisters, to each one of you for your beautiful thoughts, your words. And see you Friday. See you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, teacher.